Suspended Rivers State Governor Fubara has addressed his supporters after a reconciliation meeting with the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Wike, facilitated by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, saying no sacrifice is too big for peace and stability in Rivers State. While speaking in Port Harcourt, the state capital, after the funeral of Wike's uncle, Fubara acknowledged the heavy and bitter nature of the peace deal, which reportedly includes conditions such as not seeking re-election in 2027 and permitting Wike to nominate local government chairpersons. Fubara urged his supporters to accept the agreement, emphasizing that the overall interest of the state and its development necessitates an end to the prolonged political crisis. Let's take a listen before we come back for a discussion.
At this point, if you want to be truthful to yourself, not lying to yourself, the only solution is peace. I didn't say that there is no price that is too big to pay for peace. I meant it, and I am ready to follow it to the end. Nobody can take away the role my other played. That's the truth. Yeah, we have our differences that led to this, but nobody here will say he doesn't know the role the man played. Nobody will say he doesn't. Nobody can whisk away the risks he took. Yes, at the point we had our differences, and if today there is need for us to settle, please, anyone who genuinely believe in me should understand that it is right thing to do.
All right, it appears there's full reconciliation here. He's even acknowledging the role his godfather played, because that's what he is at this point. And he's saying that there is no price too big to pay for peace. I'd like to take this tweet, which I actually liked. It was a post on X, and this person detailed a number of points, and I just took a little bit of it from characteristics. He wrote, the reconciliation of Fubara and Wike, a lesson in politics, power and forgiveness. It was a political standoff that exposed the fragile dynamics of godfatherism, loyalty and independence in Nigeria's democracy. Yet, in the end, both men chose a path less traveled. Reconciliation, this act of mending fences, is not a sign of weakness, but one of maturity, and it carries deep lessons for the youth, for politicians, and indeed for every citizen. 1. The virtue of forgiveness and reconciliation. In a nation often fueled by bitterness and prolonged enmity, this reconciliation speaks volumes. It underscores that true leadership lies not in perpetual confrontation, but in knowing when to lay down arms for the sake of peace. Forgiveness is not a political tool. It is a virtue we must all derive, practice, and preach. The courage to forgive even after public humiliation or betrayal is rare in politics. Yet, both men showed that reconciliation, though costly to pride, is priceless in value. 3. Strategy in defeat, grace in victory. Politics is a game of chess, not boxing. You don't win by sheer force, you win by foresight. The reconciliation revealed that both men understood the moment. Fubara, in retreating, showed the humility of a man not defeated by recalculating. Wike, in embracing, demonstrated the wisdom of consolidating influence through grace, not control. To fight, one must be sure of victory. But wiser still is the one who knows when to yield ground to win the war of legacy, peace, and prosperity. Finally, the moral takeaway. Young Nigerians must take note. Politics is not war, it is service. There will be betrayals, losses, and moments of solitude. But humility, forgiveness, strategic wisdom, and integrity remain the true currencies of enduring leadership. This episode has shown that even the fiercest political battles can end in peace, and that in politics, the man who can forgive is often the one who will outlive the storms. Let this serve as a compass for a more Mature democratic culture where differences are settled with wisdom, where victory is won with grace, and where defeat is accepted with humility. Because at the end of the day, power is transient, but character endures. Politics is a game of chess. Play to win, but more importantly, play to build. I think he summarized, a lot of points there. But I mean, I really did admire the tweet. And you disagree with the tweet, which is why, it's good for public discourse.
I disagree with the tweet in entirety because the tweet does not even know the background story.
Go ahead.
Until we see the terms and agreements, there are many different types of deal. There's coming into agreement from a place of strength,
correct,
and there's a mumu deal. The mumu deal is when you are being subjugated, you are being battered and beaten, and you are forced to sign a mumu deal. So we don't know what Fubara signed. Maybe it's mumu deal or introspection and coming into agreement. We don't know. Secondly, talking about character and morale. What is character in having a godfather? What's character in that? That the will of a people, one man says, I'm the one that makes a governor, where there are people, where it is the people that vote. You can see the complete disrespect for the electorate, and that's why they don't come out for elections. So what is character in that? What is character when one man says, l'état c'est moi, l'économie c'est moi. I should be the one ruling the resource of the people, and whoever I put there is there. What's the character in that?
So your own is fight to finish.
No, see, let me tell you something. The truth has to be said. Me, I don't have time for igberigbe and mess.
What does that mean?
Igberigbe is rubbish and stupidity. See, let's call a spade a spade. The only reason why Fubara backed down was because the court judgment didn't favor him, which a lot of people have also made arguments as regards the court judgments. IJAP the other day made their reservations as regards court judgments in this country. So let's call a spade a spade. That's the reason why after that judgment. But somebody will have thought that honor demands that if you are right on your points, the worst thing they will have done is allow himself to be impeached, and that's not the end of the world. But they said, they saved him. They now committed another constitutional aberration by bringing in a state of emergency to solve. So state of emergency, you know what state of emergency is? With the temerity of state of emergency. So state of emergency is now even used to settle political scores in this country. And we are looking. What kind of country are we living in? And somebody is writing theatres and saying moral, values. What moral?
I love the points. Dr. Vati, go ahead.
Okay, in my early life, I used to be a university teacher, and I used to teach a course called Shakespeare and His Contemporaries, English 457, they call it, at Ogun State University, as it then was. Now, one of the scripts we taught was a play called She Stoops to Conquer, by Oliver Goldsmith.
One of my favorites.
Now, what's the major moral of that play by Oliver Goldsmith? It is that, look, you can stoop to conquer. And I think that in this particular case, what Sim Fubara has done is a classic definition of stooping to conquer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what the nature of that conquest would turn out to be, we do not know. However, what we know is that we've been arguing on this table that we need peace, stability, growth, progress in Rivers State. If the conquest here would progress democratic policy, the democratic dispensation, remove the state of emergency in Rivers State, I think it's something that we can say fine. And that's why it seems to me that Sim Fubara says, well, it's difficult, but it is necessary.
Yes.
And I hope that all the people who have been supporting him, the elders who have suddenly disappeared, and the youth council that we no longer see, we would like to hear from them too. Although some of them have said, look, let peace reign. It's important that peace reigns in Rivers State, that democracy survives in Rivers State. Now, the other time you brought this subject up, I said it's an illustration of how Nigerian politics is paternalistic. It had to take President Tinubu putting his feet down for there to be this new development in Rivers State. We said that the politics of Rivers State characteristically is prebendal. It's a rentier system whereby you have a godfather who appoints clients, and his clients have to suck up to him. That is why what has happened in Rivers State will seem to appear like a triumph for Nyesom Wike, who is the godfather, and Sim Fubara is his client, and there are probably other clients. 3, the terms of the reconciliation that has now brought together old foes. Amewule, the speaker, Fubara, the suspended governor, and also the godfather, self-styled in Nyesom Wike, that has brought them together. They attended the burial of the uncle of Nyesom Wike at Obio Akpo. So even if you look at the optics, you know, Wike has every reason to be triumphant.
Yeah.
He, as the godfather, has survived the battle. However, should that be the pattern for Nigerian politics? We do not think so.
Right.
But the intervention of President Tinubu in this matter, how soon would that suspension that those who know this subject have said is illegal and unconstitutional, and then what comes after?
Yes.
Whatever comes after, we will be here to do the analysis.
As always.
And we will speak our mind.
Yes, as always. Nobody can gag you. All right. Well, you know,
Who said that?
You did.